Okay, so let's create a survey. There are a couple different types. You can create a survey for training events, maybe for people that are going to attend your survey, or a satisfaction survey for people that have attended your training event. Um, or I can create a survey that I'm going to send to a list of clients for some reason. Maybe I want to see if clients that have been advised for more than 10 hours are happy with the service they've been provided. So I hit new under surveys, and I'm going to make my 10-hour survey test. And so what we've got here, we're making the survey is a few important bits. It's going to start out inactive. That's important. We don't want it to be seen until it's ready to go. Um, we could decide if we want to restrict this by active clients or pre-clients. In this case, I'm making a client survey. Um, and I want to only allow them to respond one time. You could make a survey where you want them to respond every time. In this case, you're going to select your center, or I have every center. Um, and then there are some options here just at the very beginning. You can ask them about milestones if you'd like. If they answer uh, yes to this question within the survey, it would constitute that they are attesting a milestone happened. You'd see a little gold star in their file. And we would consider that reasonable backup for a milestone. Um, in this case, I'm doing sort of a satisfaction survey, so I'm not going to add any milestone like questions. So I've started my 10-hour survey. You can see it's inactive. It's for all of my centers. I want it available to all of them. And I'm going to start out, and here's where I start making questions, right? And so maybe my first question is, are you happy with the advising you have received? And let's say this is going to be a yes no. And I want this one to be mandatory. This is the only reason I'm sending the survey. Eh, so be it with our grammar. Okay, so I've got this question on my survey. Are you happy? And then let's say if they're not happy, I want to ask them another question. I want them to explain further, why I wasn't happy. So I've got another question, and this one, let's say, they can type a lot. What are you unhappy about with your advising? Okay, so I've got this second question, but I don't want to ask it of the people that said they were happy, right? I would rather they not even see it unless they hit no. So one of the cool things that we have in surveys is at the top right here, this logic. And you can create these to kind of loop around in your survey and sort of guide the person that's taking it. In this case, I'm going to create a logic for that first question. And what it's going to do is control if they say no, then it's going to do something. So I've got this piece of logic that says if they say no. And then I'm going to go to my question where I gave them the option to type a paragraph. And I'm going to add that condition. And so what I've done now is I've made it so that if you see this survey and you click yes here, you're not
Mm-hmm.
going to see that bit. But as you're going down the survey, so it's going to look smaller than you'd think, and you click no, it's going to go, oh, why not? And it's going to expand, and then you're going to be able to type in there and explain why not. I may want to do different kinds of questions. You can see multiple choice lists. You can ask for a dated response. Maybe when was your last advising? Currency responses. Those would be closer to things like have you increased or decreased in sales? How much? Um, these are pretty standard ways to ask a question. The only one in here that might be a little confusing, you can put in a label without a response. Maybe you want to sort of define parts of your survey. So, administrative portion. These are not what I would call it in my client survey, but you can see now that I've added that, I just sort of added a label to my survey, and then I can sort of define what's going where. And as I've made all these questions and I'm playing with them, I can now reorder by hitting that reorder button. and I can click and drag, and I could say, hey, maybe I'm saying this top part is administrative and the next part is advising, and whatever it's going to be. I can add some labels that might help the client better understand what these portions are going to be. And I think the only other kind of question in here, you can ask for the electronic signature. Basically, you can ask them to type their name. So oftentimes when we make surveys about, say, economic impacts or good or bad things that have happened to them, we've asked them to sign their name, and that essentially counts as attestation and confirmation that a milestone happened.
Oh, great. That's great that the signature part is built in because
Yeah,
that's the toughest part to get.
that's
That's
the
great.
toughest part. And
Yeah,
then we've got our survey here. The last thing, it may be if this is, say, a satisfaction survey, and we want to know, it's important to us if someone says no that we see that. We can go to the alert values of that question, are you happy? And we can add no. And what this is going to do is, now as people go through this survey and they answer no, they're going to pop up here on the right, and we're going to be able to click on this and go to the clients that said no to this question on the survey. So, particular to a satisfaction, you'd be able to go find the clients that were unhappy. Or if this were, say, a business start survey, and you wanted, to make that question an alert, you could go to the clients that said they had started their business and then be able to quickly read through and see what was going on with that client. So the alerts is kind of a new feature that's pretty cool with the surveys.
how are you looking at the alerts once the surveys are made? Would that be on the same page?
Yes, and
Okay,
once they start answering the surveys, that will populate.
perfect.
So we define our questions. We play around with it, the spelling, the grammar, how we're going to do it. We can add logic so that some questions are only visible if they answer a certain way with the one above. The last bit is then you have to decide who's going to see your survey. That's done up here. The survey request lists. You can send or use these surveys with multiple sets of people. So each time you wanted to do it, you would just add a new list. So in this case, I would just hit new, and I'm going to say maybe this is my July 2021 client list. So let's just say if this is a satisfaction survey, these are the clients that I sent it to in July. So now that I'm here, I've kind of labeled this list. I need to add some people. So once I hit import, there's a few different things I can do. If I've previously sent them a survey and I know which one it is, I can use an existing survey. If it's a small number of people, or if this is something I want to do as like a one-off, I can pick a single client and then I can send it to, that one client. Or if there's a broader group of clients, essentially what I can do is I can go to my client section in Neosera. I can set up some filters and search for them and get that list exactly how I like. And then I can save that client filter, and then I can import it here. And I can import from a filter that I set up. It might be the current one I set up. It might be, clients from Pasadena or West Covina or Ventura, however and whomever I'm sending this to. I can set up a client filter and then import it into here, and it'll grab all of those people, and then I would save it, and boom, those are the people that are going to get this survey. It is worth noting the responses have a period where it's open. So in this case, this survey, they will be able to start answering it on the 14th, and after the 21st, they will no longer be able to answer it. I can kind of change that as I choose. The last bit, it's worth noting, we can email someone from here an invitation to take the survey, but the survey itself is not contained within an email. The survey is in the client's eCenter account. If they go to eCenter, they will see the survey at a strip at the top of the screen. It's generally good practice when you make these lists to email them at least once to let them know. And you can see what that looks like. In this case, it's just myself. If I hit email, and then I'm going to, ask for a survey answer, please take my survey, and I hit continue. it's going to kind of give me a generic email telling me how important it is that you know, read my surveys and please answer. And it's going to give them a link unique to the client. On their end, in this spot, they would see a link. They click on it, it'll automatically log them in. They won't even have to remember their password. And then they'll see the survey and they'll be able to take it. Once they take it, my responses will show up in here. And then I could even go to that list and I could view who responded and who didn't.
Just to clarify, so eCenter isn't automatically sending an email to alert that they have a survey?
It is not. You would
Okay,
need
so
to let
that's
them
something
know.
manual. Great.
Yeah.
Good to know.
You're basically just going to make a survey viewable to a certain set of clients and then try to sort of coax them in to log in and to take it. So the
Got
email
it.
is kind of our best bet. But you could, hey, you could call them and you could ask them to do it too. You know, however you're going to do it.
Great.